Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared, and oh my gosh, it actually happened. The church has purchased the Kirtland temple. I was out just a little while ago. We were picking up my daughter from a school event and driving home, and I got a text from Jen Stevens with the Christian Fire Poppy channel right here. Make sure to check her out. And I've gotten... after her text, I got a billion other texts and emails. So she was the first one that I came across that pointed me to this. And this is crazy because you might remember I did this video back in January, new prophetess of the community of Christ / church financials. Will she sell the Kirtland temple? And it's not the first video I've done about the church buying the Kirtland temple, because I've been kind of following the community of Christ for a while. In fact, I interviewed, sorry, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but Linda L. Booth. She's the former president of the Council of the 12 Apostles for Community of Christ. Here's the video right here, so you can check that out. But I've been following this for a while in noting that the community of Christ has had some issues financially. They're trying to stay afloat. The younger generations aren't paying tithing like they used to in the past. And so the church is having to go to different methods to finance itself. So I go in more detail in that other video. I'll put both videos in the description box below in case you want to check those out. But I just wanted to do this video right away. I haven't had a chance to look over these. There's at least 4 things that we're going to look over here. We have this official statement in the church newsroom, and then there's this joint statement between our church and their church, and then one from their church, and then a frequently asked questions. So we're just going to go through the whole thing and talk about it as we go. I have no idea what I'm about to read, other than the fact that the Kirtland temple has been purchased. Responsibility and ownership of sacred sites and historic documents transferred to Church of Jesus Christ. Acquisitions include Kirtland Temple, which is just, oh my gosh, that is so surreal to say. I can't even believe it. You know what, just really quick, because not everybody's on the same page. Let's do LDS temples. Let's just go to this website, churchofjesuschristtemples.org. They do a great job when it comes to all things having to do with the temple. So remember, the Kirtland temple was the first temple of this dispensation. Ever since, the last Nephite temple, or in the old world, ever since the second temple was destroyed by the Romans, this was the first temple in all that time. And this is the temple in which very, very, very important priesthood keys were restored through Moses, Elias, and Elijah, right? Jesus Christ appeared to Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery in the Kirtland Temple, and then those prophets to restore the priesthood keys. So it's kind of a big deal. Let's do this too. Let's see, Kirtland Temple, Moses. Let's just look for a quick image. So anytime you see, like at church, images like this, it's the Kirtland temple, right? Prophets in Christ appearing to Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery at the Kirtland temple. Acquisitions include Kirtland temple, historic buildings in Nauvoo, and manuscripts of Joseph Smith's translation of the Bible. And then it talks about the joint statement, and then the frequently asked questions and appendix. Today, Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, the responsibility and ownership for the Kirtland Temple, several historic buildings in Nauvoo, and various manuscripts and artifacts officially transferred from Community of Christ to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for an agreed-upon amount. Together, we share an interest in and reverence for these historic sites and items and are committed to preserving them for future generations. Discussions leading to this landmark agreement commenced in June 2021. Okay, so that's interesting. So that means that discussions started during President Nelson's time as president of the church. And it happened after 2020. 2020 was a really big year. That's where we had the April 2020 General Conference, the Hosanna Shout, the new proclamation, the new church symbol. So it was the year after that they started talking about this. Okay, quote, "This exchange of assets is significant for our church," said Stephen M. Veazey, president of Community of Christ. Continuing, he says, through funding from increased endowments, Community of Christ will have greater capacity to pursue our mission priorities around the world, including continuing to fulfill the divinely envisioned purposes for our temple in Independence, Missouri. And if you don't know what that's referring to, here's Independence, Missouri, and I'm sure that you're familiar with the spiral temple that they have there, right? There's their spiral temple across the street caddy corner. You have their auditorium, and then our land. So their stuff is in blue. These like blue place marks that I have right here. White is us. We have the Stake Center. We have the Independence Visitor Center, which was built to be one of the 24 temples of the 24 temple complex, but it's currently being used as a visitor center. We own this land, and then the site for the first temple of the 24 temple complex is owned by the Church of Christ Temple Lot, which is not the same as the Community of Christ. They're a much, much, much smaller church, and they currently own that lot. Okay, that's the end of that quote. And then this is President Nelson, quote, "We are deeply honored to assume the stewardship of these sacred places, documents, and artifacts. We thank our friends at Community of Christ for their great care and cooperation in preserving these historical treasures thus far. We are committed to doing the same." End quote. The Kirtland Temple will remain a historic building. Oh, darn. Historic. Well, let me read on, Jared. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints plans to reopen it March 25th, 2024 for public tours at no charge. Likewise, in Nauvoo, the Smith family homestead, the mansion house, and the red brick store will also reopen on March 25th, 2024 for year-round public tours at no charge. More details about the transaction, assets, and other items included in the agreement will be forthcoming. Okay, so the Smith, I'm going to highlight it. So the Smith family homestead, the mansion house, and the red brick store. Okay, so that's great. Wasn't it in the red brick store in like the upstairs? That's where the first endowments were given. Am I right about that? Red brick store endowments. Oh, the third floor, but I was right. According to Ensign Peak Foundation, the first endowments were administered on the third floor of the red brick store on May 4th, 1843. The Book of Abraham translation was completed here. Additionally, the store served as a social, economic, and educational center of Nauvoo. Okay, so this is significant. So not only the Kirtland Temple, where priesthood keys were restored, and Christ made an appearance, as well as those three prophets, but we also got the red brick store, the first place that I guess that endowments were essentially performed for the first time. Okay, so let's go back here. Let me open this up. Oh, that just takes you to the frequently asked questions. Okay, we'll look at that in just a minute. The historic transfer underscores our long-standing effort to preserve religious and cultural heritage and foster respective opportunities for growth and service to the world. Community of Christ is an international faith community dedicated to fostering authentic connections with one another and with God. It strives to restore Christ's peace on earth and challenge unjust systems that diminish human worth. Community of Christ affirms the intrinsic worth of every person and provides a place to belong, to be loved and valued, grow spiritually, and discover a purpose that can change lives and communities. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a worldwide faith, teaches that our Father in heaven and his Son Jesus Christ have in our day again called the living prophet and restored priesthood authority and covenants to bless families and individuals with joy. Members seek to live and share the gospel of Jesus Christ, care for those in need, and unite families for eternity. They cherish the Book of Mormon and the Bible is Holy Scripture. Okay, and then it has some pictures here. I've never gone through here before. Let me know in the comments if you've actually taken the tour. But it's really great to know that you're going to be able to go there now, and it's going to be, our senior missionaries that are, or whoever, like missionaries that are going to be giving tours of the temple at no charge. It's really neat. Okay, so what is this? This is the mansion house. Joseph and Emma moved their family to the mansion house in 1843. Okay. Here's the red brick store. Really neat. Okay. Let's go to this. Oh, this is what we just read, but this is the actual like statement itself. So, okay, so we just read that. Let's see what this is from the Community of Christ. Faithfully funding our future. The 5th of March, 2024. On Tuesday, 5th, 2024, the Community of Christ announced a historic investment in the church's future. This was made possible through the sale of the Kirtland Temple, the Joseph Smith Historic Site in Nauvoo, 19th century manuscripts and materials related to the development of church scriptures, including the Joseph Smith translation, manuscripts, and Finney Bible, Joseph and Emma Smith portraits and letters, and various other manuscripts and artifacts to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In return, Community of Christ received $192.5 million. So there it is. That's how much for all this stuff. I don't know how everything was individually priced. I had talked about the Kirtland Temple, and there were people that got upset at me for some reason. As I was thinking about how the Kirtland Temple surely would be worth at least a few modern, brand new temples because of what happened there. It's a very important site. Again, everything that we do in the church, everything that's recorded on earth that has to be recorded in heaven, it's done because of the sealing power, the priesthood keys that Elijah brought back. If it wasn't for that, your baptism wouldn't be any good. Receiving the Holy Ghost, all those different things, they would have no effect. They wouldn't be sealed. They wouldn't be recorded in heaven. A lot of people think that he just restored the sealing as far as like going to the temple and being sealed as a family. No, it's every ordinance, everything that we do. That was restored in the Kirtland Temple, as well as the gathering of Israel, right? Through Moses. And then, so it was a very, very important thing to happen. It's a very important building, and it's not just a building. It's not just sentimental. I'm so glad that it's back. This is amazing. But anyway, 192.5 million for all these things. So it turns out that that's the correct answer. Okay. The World Church Leadership Council, made up of the First Presidency, Council of 12 Apostles, presiding bishopric, presiding evangelist. This is the Community of Christ, of course. Okay, so on and so forth. Considered the possibility of a sale for several years. Following more than 3 years of discussion, prayer, and discernment, the decision to proceed received unanimous support from the council. The current and future needs of the church, coupled with discerning God's continuing call to pursue Christ's peace in all its dimensions, created a compelling case for decisive action. Leaders came to understand that letting go of these physical assets, as painful as it was, would generate financial resources that will make a significant difference in our ability to respond to that future. The opportunity was made possible through the generosity and faithful service of those who have gone before us. We are grateful for generations of members, volunteers, servant leaders, and friends from other faith movements who practice whole life stewardship to preserve parts of our history and share that story over a century. The church remains committed to the exploration and telling of our whole story. Doctrine and Covenants 162, verse 2a, this is their Doctrine and Covenants, reminds us to continue to listen to the stories of our past because they will teach and prepare us to move forward as a faith community. Okay, we'll just cut it off there. So so far, I haven't seen anything about whether this would be turned into like a temple. Like I kind of doubt that the church would take the Kirtland temple and then turn it into the type of temples that we have now with ordinance rooms and the celestial room. Although I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. We did just read that there's, they're going to start up tours again this month. And when was it? It was on the 25th of this month. So yeah, let's see, today is the 5th. So just 20 days from now, it's going to be on Monday, the 25th. It's going to open back up. And then after that, is it going to be just the status quo? It's going to remain a historic site that you come and visit. Anybody can come and visit, or are there plans in the future? Well, let's see what we can find in this frequently asked questions section. Okay. Today, Community of Christ and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announced the transfer of significant historical properties and artifacts related to the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ. By the way, I just want to point out, it's interesting to think about how, we've talked a lot about the ongoing restoration, and whenever we've talked about that, it's been in the context of, doctrines and things from the past, priesthood ordinances and things like that. That's usually what we've talked about with the ongoing restoration. But it's interesting how the Kirtland Temple has been restored, at least right now, as far as ownership goes, has been restored to the church. And then if it goes beyond that, if it's dedicated again and becomes a temple, even if it's maybe not like our other temples, it'll be restored back to a operational temple. If they don't renovate it and they keep it the same, but they turn it into a temple, I don't know how it would be used or anything like that, but I think that's possible. Remember, the 24 temple complex, okay? Look at this. Let's go to Joseph Smith Papers. And it's appropriately enough, the one that auto filled was the plan for the temples of the 24 temples for Independence, Missouri, for New Jerusalem. Here it is right here. And these temples were not built to be temples like what we have right now. See, here's like a front view. They basically look the exact same as the Kirtland Temple, right? And I have my playlist called New Jerusalem, where we go over everything that we know about these temples. Let me pull up my spreadsheet here. I have a spreadsheet that has the names of the temples because the 24 temples are in groups of 3. And let's see, New Jerusalem 24 Temple Complex. Here it is. Okay, so pretend that this is Independence, Missouri, or the future New Jerusalem. The temples would be laid out like this. Each temple would look like the Kirtland Temple. And the ones on the east side would be for the Aaronic priesthood. The ones on the west side would be for the Melchizedek priesthood. And like I said, they're in groups of 3. So this group right here, and I think that the Independence Visitor Center is actually this temple right here, temple number 13. But these 3 temples are House of the Lord for the Deacons in Zion, Helps in Government. These ones right here, 16 through 18, are House of the Lord for the Teachers in Zion, Messenger to the Church. The primary temples, so this one right here, number 11, which is this one that the Church of Christ Temple Lot owns. Okay, see right here. This temple, and then the other 2 temples that would have gone along with it on either side, are called House of the Lord for the Presidency of the High and Most Holy Priesthood after the order of Melchizedek, which was after the order of the Son of God upon Mount Zion, city of the New Jerusalem. So this you can find all this on the Joseph Smith Papers, and I go over more detail in my New Jerusalem playlist if you're interested in that. So what I'm saying is, as we look at the Kirtland Temple, and if they don't renovate it into the type of temple that we have now with the celestial room and ordinance rooms and sealing rooms, then it may still have a function in the future, just like these 24 temples of the 24 temple complex. There's an additional video I'm going to do at some point where some of these buildings they have different purposes. Like some of them are administrative buildings, other ones are for excuse me, for education. So it's not like temples like what we have right now. These would be like multi-purpose temples essentially, and that could be true of the Kirtland temple. So, okay. So anyway, the following answers address frequently asked questions about the details of the transaction and future plans for the historic sites and artifacts. Okay, let's just go through all these. What was included in the transaction? The transaction involves land, buildings, artifacts, and documents. The real estate, along with some artifacts in Kirtland, Ohio, and Nauvoo, Illinois, while artifacts and documents also come from Community of Christ Library and Archives in Independence, Missouri. Number 2, what are the most significant items? The most significant properties are the Kirtland Temple, the Smith family homestead, the Mansion House, the Nauvoo House, and the Red Brick Store. Significant documents and artifacts include manuscripts and the Bible used in the Joseph Smith translation of the Bible, 7 letters from Joseph Smith to his wife Emma, John Whitmer's history of the church, original portraits of Joseph and Emma Smith, the cornerstone of the Nauvoo House, the original door of the Liberty Jail, and a document with the title of Characters, spelled Caractors, which may contain a sample of inscriptions from the gold plates. I'm just wondering, like, has this like been seen before? Like, has it been in the Community of Christ vault and like no one's like seen this? I don't know. See the appendix for a more detailed list of items transferred. Okay. How did Community of Christ acquire these materials? After the saints left Kirtland in the 1830s, different parties controlled access to the temple over the years. In 1901, Community of Christ, then known as the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or RLDS Church, secured title to the Kirtland Temple through legal proceedings. The Smith family properties in Nauvoo remained in possession of Emma Smith after Joseph Smith's death, and she and her children eventually joined the RLDS Church. Thereafter, the properties passed through family connections to the RLDS Church. Other documents and artifacts were donated to the RLDS Church archives by their individual owners. Okay, number 4, why did Community of Christ sell these materials now? As Community of Christ President Stephen M. Vesey noted in the joint statement, the transfer of materials at this time enables their mission and priorities around the world. And again, if you want more details about that, just watch these videos. He's currently the president, but we have an incoming, him for the first time, a female president of their church. And I go over all that in this video. They've been having issues for years financially. Okay. In the last time that we looked at their financials, they were talking about the need for like this year to be a year of changes and for something big to happen in order for them to really like move forward. Otherwise, they're going to be like massive changes that they'd have to make to their operations. Okay, number 5, why did the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints purchase these materials? The sites and artifacts in this transaction relate to significant events and people in the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Number 6, what is the relationship between the two churches? The two churches enjoy a strong, respectful, and friendly relationship. For many decades, we have collaborated on numerous historical and humanitarian projects. Number 7, have there been previous transactions of historic materials between the two churches? Yes, in 2012, Community of Christ sold to the Church of Jesus Christ several properties, including the Hans Mill massacre site and the Joseph and Emma Smith home in Kirtland. 5 years later, Community of Christ sold the printer's manuscript of the Book of Mormon to the Church of Jesus Christ. Number 8, what was paid for the properties, artifacts, and documents? The church paid $192.5 million without assigning specific values to the properties and items. Okay, so just like a big lump sum type thing. I'm telling you, when we were looking at their financials, they basically Community of Christ operates each year in like the tens of millions. So for them to get almost 200 million, this is probably going to serve them well for the foreseeable future. So that was a good deal on their part. Okay, number 9, will the historic sites be open to the public? Yes, the historic buildings in Kirtland and Nauvoo closed on March 5th, 2024 to facilitate the transfer of ownership and will reopen to the public on March 25th, 2024. Tours will be provided of the Kirtland Temple, the Smith family homestead, the Mansion House, and the Red Brick Store. Updated visitor information will be published on the historic site web pages for historic Kirtland and historic Nauvoo. Now, I don't think that... Oh, the address right here, number 12. Okay, we'll get to that. Number 10, will admission be charged to visit the sites? No. All of the Church of Jesus Christ historic sites are open to the public and no charge. Number 11, will members of Community of Christ continue to have access to the sites? Yes, the sites will be open to the public generally. The church has also made specific arrangements with Community of Christ to allow for special meetings and gatherings over the coming years. So I guess that kind of answers that question, which I guess leads to number 12. Will the Kirtland Temple be converted into a functioning Latter-day Saint temple? No. The Kirtland Temple will be maintained and presented as a historic building that is open to the public. President Russell M. Nelson announced a temple in Cleveland in April 2022, and the church released its site address. And the church released its site address in December 2022 and a rendering in July 2023. Okay, well, and I would think that this wouldn't be necessarily permanent. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in the millennium it'll be turned into a temple, like an operating temple at that point. But it makes sense. Okay, so it makes sense. It's just good that we officially own it now. For me, that's huge. Number 13, will the church continue to pursue development of its proposed new visitor center near the Nauvoo Temple? Yes, the proposed visitor center in Nauvoo will orient visitors to the historic and contemporary significance of the Nauvoo Temple. The use of the other 2 visitor centers in Nauvoo will be determined in the future. And then I don't want to go through the appendix right now. Anyway. Okay, so that is basically it. This may, I don't know, in many different ways, this may have been it's clearly a big day. This is like one of those things, just like with Queen Elizabeth passing away, I never expected to see that. Even though I knew she was getting older and older and it was inevitable, it just felt like it was never going to happen. And the same for me, the same was true of the Kirtland Temple. It just felt like it would always be in the possession of the Community of Christ until the millennium or something like that. Well, here we are today, and it's been purchased. It's official. And there could be a lot of significance to this. I'm probably going to end up doing more videos as I look into this. And this may be a key event in the lead up to the second coming. It may go along with the restoration, the ongoing restoration. We finally have this temple again. It's, oh my gosh. It was so surreal as we were driving in the car, when we got that text from Jen, and just driving home as I was thinking about doing this video and just trying to wrap my head around the fact that this actually happened. It feels like a dream. Like, is this real? Is this real life? I can't believe it happened. So, yeah, I feel like this is a sign. It's a sign of the times. I can't believe it. Okay, so there'll probably be more to follow, but this will be it for now. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.